Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Insurance Experts. It's my pleasure to have Evan Fein on the line. Evan's a Medicare insurance specialist. He works for Senior Reserve Group. And thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mark. I really appreciate you having me here.
So, you started this company, Senior Reserve Group, but I know you have a very interesting background. How did you first begin in the insurance world?
Well, originally I have an MBA, and I did work on Wall Street at a hedge fund. And then after 2007, with all the market turmoil, I was looking to make a transition to a different career, and took me a few years. But I was my mother, who was on Medicare at the time, was asking me some questions about her coverage, and I looked into Medicare. I really didn't know anything about it at the time, and I saw how confusing it was and how many pitfalls and how there is so many mistakes that you can make that could really have implications for not only the quality of your coverage going forward, but also your costs. So I really wanted to educate people and help them to avoid any of these mistakes and just to understand how Medicare works so they can make informed decisions.
That's very cool. And I can't name a lot of people that have gone from the fast paced hedge fund world into probably a much slower paced senior market insurance product like Medicare. So, what kind of motivated you to want to make that change?
Well, when I wanted to find this second career, I really just wanted to do something that helped people. That's what motivates me. That's what drives me. It makes me happy to help other people. And I realized that this was just a great area where people were thirsting for knowledge and very anxious. That's one thing when people come to me, they're anxious and nervous to make the transition to Medicare. And my role I look at is just educating them on what's available and calming their fears because Medicare really is excellent coverage.
Very cool. So Medicare is health insurance. Obviously, most people are getting it when they turn 65 or older. And in particular, there's prescription drug benefits. And we're going to dive a little bit into that today. So, what part of Medicare covers, first of all, prescription drugs?
So that is the Part D prescription drug plans is one way to get that coverage. Well, let me just take a step back. So really, when you join Medicare, you're at a crossroads. You're at a fork in the road, and you can go one way or the other. One side is called Original Medicare, and you would need a Medigap or Medicare supplement plan with that, and then a Part D standalone drug plan. So that's one way to get your coverage. The other way is Medicare Advantage, which is a all-in-one plan. So that would have the prescription drug plan in it. Both ways would provide prescription drug coverage, but it would, the Medicare standalone prescription drug plan would be catered to exactly what the client's taking.
Very interesting. And I know there's a lot of Medicare options in different states. A lot of people think of them as commodities, but I know Medicare is complicated and working with a specialist like yourself can really benefit people. When it comes to the prescription drug plans, are they more commodities or are there really a lot of nuances to selecting the right coverage?
That's a great question. And the Medicare supplements or Medigaps, those are Plan F, Plan G, Plan N are the most common. Those are the commodities in Medicare. But the prescription drug plans, a few things about them. There are about 25 to 30 different plans in every state. So each plan, they can range from $15 a month to over $100 a month. And each plan has a formulary, which is the list of drugs they cover. And, that's why I like to cater the drug plan exactly to what medications they're taking and the pharmacy they use. Because if you have a plan that does not cover your medications or maybe covers them at a higher rate, it could cost you hundreds or thousands of dollars more per year if you would have had the plan that you needed for your specific medications.
Interesting. So you not only when they're enrolling, of course, you're selecting the plan based on their medications, but what about every year thereafter? Do they have access to the medications at the same cost, or does that change from year to year?
Well, with the prescription drug plans, they are a 1 year contract. So they really can change from year to year. An interesting thing that happened last year was with this Humana drug plan. It was a $20 to $25 plan, and it was a very inexpensive plan and worked great for people that were on generics, statins, or blood pressure medications, or any generics that covered very well. And what Humana decided to do, they phased this plan out starting in 2020. So at the end of last year, they notified everybody in September that they were phasing this plan out. And if you did not do anything, if you missed the letter and you missed the notification, you were going to be transferred from this $25 plan to a $55 plan, which did not cover the generics as well. So my
Mhm.
role was reaching out to my clients that were on this plan and reaching out to all of them and making sure they saw this information and doing the review to find a better plan for them for 2020 that covered their medications better. And if you missed the letter and you didn't have make the change, you would not be able to make the change the following year.
Wow. Okay. So how many of your clients faced this situation where they were kind of transitioned or mapped to this new plan?
I had about 75 clients on this Humana plan. So it was a lot of work reaching out to all of them. It's very hard to get in touch with people these days. So I did my best, and I probably got to 98% of them. But it was good because a lot of them didn't see the letter that Humana sent them. So if they missed this letter that Humana sent them, and they were on their own and they didn't have an agent, they would have just been transferred into this plan January 1st. They wouldn't have even known. They would have had this $55 drug plan that didn't cover them as well, and they couldn't do anything about it. At that point, you can't change until the following year. So
Wow.
that's where a role of having an agent can really help you, look out for you, save you money, in the future, and do the reviews every year to make sure that you're on the right plan.
Yeah, not only an agent, but a specialist, because I would say probably the average agent may not contact each and every one of their clients like you did to make sure that they were aware of this letter they received in the mail. And I'm sure a lot of people probably would have found out for the very first time in January when their credit card or their bank account, all of a sudden they were paying a higher amount and they reached out and like, what happened there? And by that point, it would have been too late. So it's really cool that you did that for your clients, and it's great for you to share that because I know a lot of people probably face those types of situations. These are happening, every year, and without bringing awareness to this, they might miss that letter in the mail. So, thanks for
Right.
joining us today and sharing all your knowledge about Medicare, and I hope to have you on a future episode.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Mark. I really appreciate it. I'd be happy to share any information on Medicare anytime forward.